Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Yes, I'm finally back after taking quite a long break, which was needed because I really needed to unwind, relax, not do anything for a bit. So yes, here we are. And yes, we are back in Warframe. I will start adding more variety to the channel because I've been wanting to do that for a while. And I think after like a year and a half of making content for Warframe, it's about time I start doing something else, because otherwise I'll just get burnout. But anyways, we are here today with the Coda Bassocyst, which is just a spectacular weapon. First of all, it does look quite intimidating with this like stereo inside this. What is this, like an infested mass parasite something? Yeah, whatever that is. It does also does sound it sounds so goddamn nice, and I'm just in love with the sound. And it also comes with an alternate fire mode that only starts working whenever you're aiming at something, so you won't see anything happen right now, and you'll be able to fire 4 shots that will deal some damage and apply some statuses. More on this later. But most importantly, you can also perform mercy kills from a distance with this alt fire mode whenever enemies are open to mercy kills, and yeah, that's very unique. But that's not all, because performing mercy kills also grants this weapon more damage and multi-shot. Yes, this weapon has got it all. That's pretty much all the introductions, so let's now jump into the build. And let's start from the most important thing, which is going to be our valence bonus. In my case, I have electricity, which is what I just had whenever I bought the weapon, but this can be changed to whatever you want by using valence override whenever your weapon is level 40, which means you have invested 5 formas. And this percentage damage boost can go all the way up to 60%, and you increase it by performing valence fusion, which will consume another copy of whatever weapon you're using, in this case another Coda Bassocyst, and by doing this, this number will go up, and the element you have on this weapon might also change if the weapon you're using as material for your valence fusion has a different element of the one you are upgrading. This weapon is a semi-weapon, which is very important, but more on that later. It has 18% crit chance, 2.2x crit damage multiplier, and a quite solid 40% status chance, which can go up to very funny numbers with the right build. And the stats are the same for the alt fire mode. But now moving to the unique trait, which is going to be your alt fire. This will swarm enemies with these mites. As I said, you just fire 4 bullets instead of 1, and these bullets will always apply impact and magnetic onto enemies, and they will deal some damage over time, which is quite unique, and they do deal some nice damage. And if the enemy you're aiming this weapon at is open to mercy kill, you perform a ranged finisher instead, which also grants you 100% more damage and 100% more multi-shot. This buff can also be acquired by performing any mercy kill, so not just by the ones you perform with this weapon, but of course it's easier to just press alt fire, perform a finisher, and you get this buff that lasts for 20 seconds. Now for the build I'm using, it's quite the interesting build, I will say. Nothing crazy, but it does perform quite well, and the reason is that I'm using semi-shotgun grenade because, as I said, this weapon is a semi-firing weapon, which allows it to use this magnificent mod that grants you 240% more damage, 1.5 meters of punch through, and the only sad thing is that it will lock your fire rate, which means it cannot be changed at all. But that's actually a good thing in disguise, because we can now use critical deceleration without having to worry about the negative fire rate, which is just perfect. We then add more crit damage thanks to Prime Ravage, more multi-shot with Galvanize L, a lot more damage thanks to Galvanize Savvy, also known as Gun CO, and we are also building for corrosive and a lot of status, and Blaze for more damage and more heat. In my extra slot I have Galvanized Acceleration, which grants the weapon more projectile speed, and since this weapon always fires projectiles, it's just nice to have this mod on. But it also increases our fall of distance from, I think, 35 meters, yes, to 45, all the way up to 78, and that's just nice in general because it means we can shoot things from further away. So now on this weapon we have Radiation, Heat, Corrosive and Blast, and we also have impact and magnetic thanks to a unique trait, which is so many statuses to have on one weapon. Now for the arcane, my choice is usually going to be Primary Crux, because it grants you up to 300% more status chance and 60% ammo efficiency, which means you can save ammos and don't have to reload every 2 seconds, like in this case with this weapon, because you fire, once again, 4 bullets with your alt fire, and this can prevent that completely, which is really good. But you can of course go for the usual Shotgun Vendetta or any of these, like Primary Merciless, Primary Dexterity, Primary Frostbite, also a good option, and the same goes for Primary Blight. You know, there are actually so many good primary arcanes, but this one in my case is my favorite. Now a thing I will change for this build will be to replace Shell Shock with Prime Charge Shell, since we already have 120% status chance and we do gain another 300% more from Primary Crux, which means I could lose a 60% here. It wouldn't change the build too much, and we also gain a lot more damage, so consider doing this if you want to invest all the formas on this weapon. Which you actually should, because once again, you have to bring this weapon to level 40, and the only way to do that is by forming it 5 times, so eventually I'll be doing that myself. But that's all for the build, so let's now see how it performs. Alright, as usual, 20 Corrupted Heavy Gunners, level 230 with Silpan modifiers. They're not gonna last that long. Little spoiler, let's start by firing this, applying a bunch of statuses, and performing 1 Mercy Kill, which grants us this magnificent 100% more damage and multi-shot, and enemies are also dying in the background. That is because of Blast, because Blast is such a broken status, and even though there's like 1 or 2 stacks, it still triggers a very powerful explosion that deals a lot of damage. And enemies usually don't like big explosions that deal a lot of damage, so you know they don't last long at all. We can also add Viral and Error buff thanks to our companion, and let's see how that goes. Of course, the enemies are just gonna explode now, and I mean, it's not gonna be that surprising since we were already one-shotting enemies. We are now dealing millions of damage, and yes, enemies just die. I like it. So yeah, the Coda Bassocyst. A great weapon overall, and that's all. Like it's just good. But yeah, more seriously, this weapon is just beautiful. I like it in all its glory, and I think you should definitely go get one, because it's gonna make your life so much easier, and actually building it is not that difficult. Even if you are a newish player, you can just slap on it some basic mods, not even like the Prime versions, not even the galvanized mods are needed. This weapon just deals so much damage and applies so many debuffs and stuff onto enemies. It's just so powerful. But yeah, that's pretty much all for this video. I'm gonna also add a little showcase of the weapon in a real mission, so you can see how this weapon performs in a more realistic scenario, which in this case is going to be a 5-minute survival in Steel Path. But yeah, that's pretty much all. I'm glad to be back. I hope you guys had a very nice summer with all the fun stuff you do in summer, and I wish you to see you in the next video with a different topic, hopefully. If you like this video, remember to leave a like, and if you want to see more content, consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I wish you a beautiful rest of the day, and bye bye.
same old feeling, feel so detached. My vocal cords are bleeding, overreact. Oh, I don't know what to say, I don't know where to start. Words feel like we're strangers, drifting only apart.